It doesn't arrive the way the movies promised. There's no army of metal, no red eyes in the dark. It arrives as a quarterly earnings call, a line item, a hiring freeze nobody announces. The machine that's coming for work doesn't kick down the door. It just stops opening it. The job that used to be there next year is simply never posted. And the strange part, the part almost nobody is saying out loud, is who it comes for first. Not the veterans, the beginners. This is a story about the bottom of the ladder quietly being sawed off while everyone keeps staring at the top. Let's look at the data. Then let's look at who profits. Start with the size of it. In 2024, the International Monetary Fund ran the numbers on how much of human work is now exposed to AI. Their answer: about 40% of all jobs on Earth. And in rich economies, places like the United States, closer to 60%. 60%. Read that again. In the advanced world, 3 out of every 5 jobs now overlap with something a machine can already do. Now, exposed doesn't mean deleted. The fund was careful about that. Roughly half of those exposed jobs might just get more productive. But the other half? The other half face the cold version. Lower pay, fewer hours, or no role at all. So this isn't science fiction. It's an accounting category now, and it's already on the books. Here's where it gets specific. Because for a long time, AI will take jobs, was a prediction. Or maybe someday. In late 2025, it stopped being a prediction. A team at Stanford did something clever. Instead of guessing, they went into the actual payroll records of millions of American workers, real paychecks, month by month, and they asked a simple question. After generative AI arrived, whose jobs actually disappeared? The answer was brutal in its precision. Young workers. Specifically, people aged 22 to 25, in the jobs most exposed to AI. Coding, customer support, junior marketing. Their employment fell about 13%, relative to everyone else, in just a couple of years. And here's the detail that should stop you cold. Older workers in the very same jobs, they were fine. Some even did better. The damage wasn't spread evenly across the workforce. It was aimed straight at the entrance. The study called these young workers canaries in the coal mine. Think about what that means. A canary doesn't warn you the danger is coming. It tells you the danger is already in the room. Why the young? It's not cruelty, it's arithmetic. Entry-level work, the first rung, is mostly the routine, learnable, repeatable stuff. Write the basic report, answer the standard ticket, clean the data. Draft the first version. That's exactly the work generative AI does first, fastest, and nearly for free. The senior engineer who knows where the bodies are buried, the model can't replace her yet. But the 23-year-old whose job was to do the thing the senior engineer doesn't want to do, that job is the cheapest thing in the building to automate. So the ladder loses its first rung. And without the first rung, there's no way to climb to the second. You can see it in the numbers already. The unemployment rate for recent college graduates climbed to nearly 6% in early 2025, up from around 4.5% the year before. While the overall job market looked, on paper, basically fine. Let that contradiction sit. The economy adds jobs. The headline rate stays low. And the people who just spent 4 years and a fortune preparing to enter that economy can't get in the door. At the big technology companies, the Metas, the Microsofts, the Googles, hiring of recent graduates has dropped by roughly a quarter. A bachelor's degree was sold as the on-ramp. For the first time in modern memory, for a lot of fields, it's becoming a toll booth on a road that no longer leads anywhere. Now, the optimists have a counter. And we should be honest and look right at it. The World Economic Forum did its own forecast. By 2030, they say AI and automation will displace about 92 million jobs, but create 170 million new ones. Net positive. 78 million more jobs than we started with. Sounds reassuring, doesn't it? Hold it up to the light. Because net positive hides the violence inside the average. 92 million people don't get to smoothly transform into the new roles. The clerk whose job vanishes in Ohio is not the prompt engineer who gets hired in San Francisco. The forum's own report says it plainly. The single steepest decline is in clerical and administrative work, the exact jobs that, for decades, were how millions of ordinary people without elite degrees reached the middle class. So yes, new jobs are coming, just not for the same people, in the same places, with the same skills. Net positive is cold comfort when you're one of the 92 million on the wrong side of the minus sign. And the scale here is hard to even hold in your head. Back in 2023, Goldman Sachs estimated that generative AI was exposed to the equivalent of 300 million full-time jobs worldwide. 300 million. That's not a sector. That's not an industry. That's roughly the entire working population of the United States, times 2. And if you want to see it stop being a forecast and start being a memo, look at the companies already doing it. Take Klarna, the payment giant. In early 2024, it switched on an AI customer service assistant. In its first month, that one system handled 2.3 million conversations. The company said it did the work of 700 full-time agents. It resolved issues in under 2 minutes, where a human took 11. 700 jobs of labor, folded into software, in a month. Now, to be fair, and we always will be, Klarna later admitted it cut too hard and started rehiring humans for premium support. So this isn't clean. It never is. But notice what doesn't reverse. The template. Once a company proves 700 roles can be compressed into a subscription, that knowledge doesn't unhappen. IBM automated the work of around 200 human resources staff with an internal AI. Its CEO said roughly 8,000 back-office jobs were the kind AI could take. Their bot now handles 94% of routine requests. And here's the quiet tell. IBM's headcount didn't actually shrink. It just redeployed the savings. Fewer back-office humans, more money for the things it still wanted. That's the pattern underneath all of it. The work doesn't disappear. The workers do. Die. The budget simply moves toward the machine and away from the person. Now, here's the turn. Here's where this stops being a story about technology and starts being a story about the machine that decides how technology gets used. Because a tool doesn't fire anyone. A tool has no opinion about your rent. A quarterly earnings target does. This is the part the cheerful, learn-to-adapt articles never quite finish. AI didn't decide to replace the entry-level worker. A market did. A system that has exactly one instruction burned into its core: reduce cost, increase return, looked at a young employee who cost $60,000 a year and a piece of software that costs $60 a month and did the only math it knows how to do. The worker was never the goal. The worker was always a cost. And the entire history of this system is the story of turning expensive humans into cheaper machines, one rung at a time. Waiting, the assembly line, the brow, the call center, and now the desk. The screen, the mind itself. What's different this time is the target. For 200 years, automation came for the hands, the muscle. And we told a comforting story. Don't worry, move up the ladder, into the knowledge work, the thinking jobs, the safe high ground. That high ground is exactly where the water is rising now. And they'll tell you not to worry. They'll say, AI won't replace you, it'll just make you more productive. Augmentation, not replacement. It sounds kind. Do the math on it though. If one designer with AI now does the work of 3, the company doesn't keep 3 designers and triple its output. It keeps one, and quietly stops looking for the other 2. More productive is the polite word for fewer of you needed. Every leap in productivity that doesn't come with a matching leap in demand is just a headcount cut wearing a nicer suit. And the fund was blunt about where the gains go. AI, it warned, is likely to widen inequality. The returns flow up to whoever owns the model, not to the worker standing next to it. Which brings us to the part nobody in the press releases wants to dwell on. Who actually owns the machines? Because the loom belonged to the mill owner, and the model belongs to whoever can afford $1 billion data center. The gains from automating your job don't land in your community. They land in a server farm owned by a handful of the largest companies on Earth. This is the quiet violence of it. Labor's share gets converted into capital share permanently. A wage that used to feed a family becomes a margin that feeds a stock price. And the human on the other end of that trade doesn't get a vote. there's one more trap, and it's the cruelest. Companies still say they want experienced people. Senior only. 3 to 5 years required. But experience isn't a thing you're born with, it's a thing you earn in the entry-level jobs that are now being automated away. So the system has quietly arranged the impossible. It wants seasoned workers, while abolishing the only path to becoming one. It ate the seed corn and then complained about the harvest. A whole generation is being told to come back when they have experience, but jobs that no longer exist to give it. And don't make the mistake of thinking this is just a coder problem. The first wave came for exactly the work we used to call creative, safe work, human work. The copywriter who wrote product descriptions, the translator, the junior illustrator, the person who edited the photos, drafted the contract, made the first version of the slide deck. The moment a machine could generate a passable first draft for pennies, the market stopped paying a person to make it. That was supposed to be the unautomatable stuff. Imagination. Language. Why? Taste. It turned out those were just patterns too, and patterns are precisely what these machines eat. So the ground keeps shifting under the feet of whoever was told they were safe. First the factory, then the call center, then the cubicle, then the studio. Each group in turn was promised. The next room over was secure, right up until the door to that room closed too. So look at the shape of the whole thing. The system spent a generation telling young people that the path was clear. Go into debt, get the degree, learn the skills, climb. And right as they reached for the first rung, the system quietly automated it away because a machine was cheaper. Then it turned around and called them lazy for not climbing. This is the trap, and it's airtight. Every individual decision inside is perfectly rational. The company that automates the junior role isn't evil. If it doesn't, its competitor will, and it dies. So everyone does it, all at once. And the sum of all those reasonable decisions is a generation locked out of the very economy it was trained to enter. Nobody chose it. Everybody built it. And if you're still holding on to the old is comfort, but automation always creates new jobs, it always has. Sit with this one for a second. For thousands of years, there was a creature absolutely central to the economy. Strong, versatile, irreplaceable. It plowed the fields, hauled the freight, carried the soldiers, moved the mail. The horse. In the early 20th century, there were more than 20 million working horses in America. And then came the engine, the tractor, the truck, the car. Now, did the horses retrain? Did they move up the value chain into exciting new equine careers? No. The horse population didn't transition. It collapsed. Because the economy didn't need them anymore, and being needed was the only thing keeping the herd alive. The economist Wassily Leontief made this exact point decades ago. He said human labor would go the way of the horse, useful until a better technology came along, and then simply surplus. We laughed it off. To you, humans aren't horses, we said. We're adaptable. We invent. But the comforting story has a hidden assumption buried inside it. It assumes there's always some higher ground only humans can reach. That's the assumption AI is built specifically to break. When the machine climbs faster than you can, move up the ladder, stops being a strategy, and starts being a cliff. And the data won't save anyone's feelings here, so we won't pretend otherwise. The canaries are already down. The first rung is already gone. The 40% is already on the books, in a fund report, in cold print. The machine doesn't hate you. That's the hardest part to sit with. It would be easier if it did. It simply ran the numbers, and you weren't in the column that pays. We were promised the robots would free us to do more human work. Instead, the human work is the first thing on the spreadsheet to go, and the freedom on offer looks an awful lot like being unemployed. That's the data. That's who profits. And the lattice first rung isn't coming back. We'll let you sit with it. We'll let you sit with it.